So welcome to our second podcast. My name is Neil Foley from the Business Growth Club. We're really fortunate today to have two top-notch accountants with us, Tracey and Glenn, that I'll introduce you to in a little while. And essentially what we want to do on this podcast is really look at cloud accounting. What is cloud accounting? It's a term that you may have heard of. It's certainly one that's bandied around a little bit. So we'll talk a bit about what cloud accounting actually is and how it can benefit people and the changes, if you like, that are happening to the accountancy profession. So good morning to Glenn and Tracey. Good morning, Tracey.
Morning, Neil.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. And Glenn is suffering from man flu, so he's not in the best of health. But I mean, all credit to him. He's dragged himself out of his bed to come.
I'm soldiering on.
You're soldiering on. You're a trooper. So let's go straight into the meat of the subject. What is this term cloud accounting that we hear all about?
It's a concept that's been around for a while now. I think it stems back to maybe 2008, 2009. There was a shift in the way that people were kind of looking at the way they were producing their records, accountancy. The whole idea is to make it more user friendly for the end user. So the idea of the old ways of a spreadsheet and entering information into a spreadsheet, producing invoices from Word documents was becoming a little bit laborious in terms of time and what have you. So cloud technology helps bring it all together, and it is what it is. It's in the cloud. It's on the internet. It's an internet-based system, and you basically do everything in one area. And because it is on the internet, you can access your accounts. You can access everything from the internet. So you don't have to have it as a desktop download, which means if you're at home in the evening and you want to check on something on your account, you can literally just go straight into your online login and have a look and see how well your business is doing. So, which yes, you can do with a spreadsheet and what have you, but the reporting of in cloud accounting, the reports that you can bring up are very user friendly as well. So it's a shift. The old ways of doing things are becoming more modern, and cloud accountancy is basically helping people get more efficient.
So now I understand a bit about what a cloud accounting actually is. What are the benefits, Glenn?
Well, there's a few benefits to this. I mean, firstly, there's the online invoicing that you can do via any cloud package. That can be done through mobile devices as well, such as your mobile phone, your tablet. And the nice thing about this is that rather than printing it and posting it, you can actually send it via email straight away. Another nice feature of cloud accountancy is bank feeds. So when it comes to looking at bank reconciliations, rather than printing bank statements off and manually going through those and ticking them off against expenses, you can feed your bank into the cloud software, and this helps reduce the amount of time that you spend on the bank reconciliations, because there's some neat little functions in various softwares where you can match everything up, and it just reduces the amount of time. A lovely thing that we like about it is that both parties have access to the login. So our clients are working away on their cloud software, and if there's a problem that they need or any kind of help that they need, we can then log in at the same time in our office, and we can help them understand the issues or the problems they may be having in terms of working around the software. And it's also secure. That's one of the main points I think we need to get across, is that it has the same level of security as the high street banks. So it's encrypted. So therefore, with it being an online software, the idea of it being hacked is that's minimized through all the encryption and the software available.
That sounds great.
Yes.
And I think I'm right in saying you can also submit your VAT returns and things like that automatically.
Absolutely, you can put your gateway system in there. So rather than going into a separate system, an online system through HMRC, you can produce your VAT returns in there. You can check everything in there, and then you can file your VAT returns via the cloud software as well, which makes the time saving of cloud is immense. There's so many nice features about it.
No wonder it's so popular. And I suppose, Tracey, if we then look at the different types of cloud systems out there, because there's a number of them, aren't there? The number of names that I keep hearing crop up. What are the main ones?
So the main ones that people use are Cashflow, Xero with an X, QuickBooks, and there is Sage online. So yeah, so there's four main ones. There are others. For example, Free Agent that is used by Barclays, but we're not really a fan of that one. So
Right, okay.
No. So yeah, there aren't many differences between them. There are certain things that certain software can do. I mean, with me, I favour cash flow over any of the others, to be honest with you, because it can do different things to QuickBooks and Xero. It does projects. So what I mean by that is if you've got two businesses, so for example, we do have a client at the moment that's got two businesses where they're trying to keep a track of what's going on with the two separate parts of the business. So we've set up projects in cash flow so that they can have a track on what's going on. You can do a profit and loss report for each separate project, and it can basically do it's cost cutting as well. So yeah, it's pretty good system.
So you like cash flow, and that's cash flow not spelt with a C, spelt with a K,
spelt
isn't
with
it?
a K, yeah. So I've used cash flow since 2009 and seen a lot of changes in cash flow, and it's a good system to use.
It's evolved over the last few years.
Yeah.
The dashboard has changed a lot. It's become a lot more user friendly, and it's just a very nice, easy system for people that are new to the cloud to use.
I guess that's an important point, isn't it, in terms of IT, because you said that cloud accounting started sort of 2008 or whatever. IT for most of us, it can still feel like a dark art, and you need something that's intuitive to use. I mean, what are these systems like to use?
Yeah, well, like we just touched on it, some of them are very clunky to use. We won't name names because it's unfair, but some are easy to use, some are very difficult to use. But I think the important thing is if you're new to using cloud technology and you're used to what we would term now as the old ways of doing things with desktop technology, and we would favour certain software because of the way that it's so easy to use. So.
And it's a very competitive market. So I guess these four main ones, and including Free Agent, which actually isn't a bad system at the end of the day.
No.
I've got to say that because I've got some shares in it.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that you dissed it there, Tracey, but never mind that, ignoring that. I guess that it being such a competitive market, and these are big companies, aren't they? So QuickBooks is owned by Intuit.
Yes.
It's a huge American company, isn't it? So I guess there's a lot of developments. Do you see these updates going on all the time?
Yeah, we do. We often go down to various conferences and what have you to find out what the latest updates are. There's a Cantex in London that happens in May of every year. We like to go down there and see what the latest developments are for the major players in cloud tech, and also to see what new software they're rolling out for the future as well. There's some exciting things coming up.
And does it, in terms of the bank feeds, are all the major banks, will they all provide bank feeds?
Not all of them, and the way that the bank feeds are actually set up with various cloud products, it differs. So for instance, one cloud software will allow you to do direct bank feeds, and another software will use a third party to feed the information in. So it's a question of us advising clients which is the best one and the most simple one to use.
So if Tracey prefers cash flow, is that the same for yourself, Glenn, or are you?
I'm leaning towards it. I mean, I do like Xero. I've used it in the past. I think it's fantastic. There's a lot of back end stuff that goes on with Xero that I like in particular, like the work in papers side of things, which makes it a lot easier for our processes in the office. I do enjoy cash flow. It's a very easy to use system. QuickBooks is it has its benefits. We don't use it as much as we do the others, but that's not to say that there's anything wrong with it. It's a nice software, but I don't think I favour any one over the other. I like to use them all, if that's diplomatic enough.
No. Well, and in some ways you're unusual as accountants for that, aren't you? Because I've come across accountants who would, when you talk about the cloud with them, they'll say, yes, we've done our due diligence and blah, blah, blah. And then we've decided we like this one.
Yeah.
And that strikes me as possibly quite a risky thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but it's not really about us, is it? It's about our clients and what we feel they would be comfortable using.
Yes.
So for instance, the people that aren't so techy, there's various products we would point them in the direction of to get started with, which are very easy to use. Those that love all the tech, then we would suggest other products to use, because what's available on the other products is probably would excite them a little bit more than others. So because all the gadgets and what have you, the what's on there. So
I guess it just depends as well on what sort of business they're running. If they're running a stock-based business, then certain accountancy programs.
Is that QuickBooks is probably better for stock, or?
No, actually, I would say Xero.
Zero, would you?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
QuickBooks can do the stock system. I will say that QuickBooks Desktop was better for stock than what the online version is. But that's only, that's the only one we've really come across with stock problems. But yeah, Xero.
I think it depends what industry you're in as well. I mean,
Yeah.
For argument's sake, we know that if you're an online trader, I believe that Cashflow is the one to use, because of the PayPal integration is fantastic. It's not so great with Xero, we've found. So it depends what industry you're in as well. We'll then sort of make our mind up on what one we decide to promote to the end user, to our clients.
Yeah, I mean, touching on the PayPal thing, it's a little bit like the bank feeds. Basically, when people use Cashflow, it will bring every single thing in from PayPal. So if you've got like an e-commerce trader who uses PayPal as their payment side of things, it's literally 5 clicks to bring quite a lot of invoices in. It brings all the details, so it brings all the data, the name, the address, email address, and the actual product if the product is in wherever they've put it for sale. So for example on eBay, it'll bring the product name in, and it just helps more than anything for the client. You haven't got to sit there and
all comes back to time saving, doesn't it?
Yeah, which then means money as well, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? Means it's more cost effective for everybody, and I can imagine if you're issuing invoices quickly, when there's a chance you're going to get paid quickly, aren't you? So it should be good for your own cash flow, shouldn't it?
They can then print them off and use them as delivery notes.
Oh, of course, yeah. So it works,
rather
doesn't
than
it?
straight out of the eBay system, they can put it straight out of.
And I mean, this may sound an odd question, but I know in terms of banks have changed a lot over the years and the way that they interact with their customers, and yet most people don't change banks.
No.
Even though your people will normally be very critical of their bank, they won't actually get off the backside and change.
No, we often get asked by our clients, which bank do you recommend? Because naturally some of our clients go off the back of our recommendations, and it's very difficult to say one or the other, because
they're all as bad as each other, I think.
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
Well, I think most of them are.
Yeah, okay.
Especially the co-op owned 80% by American hedge funds. That seems a bit odd. Okay. But in an accounts package viewpoint, do people get very, I know I should change, but I'm used to doing things the way I've done. I've got my Excel spreadsheet set up the way, or my bookkeeper uses Sage and she's happy.
It's a hand-holding process when it comes to that. I mean, we do get a lot of new business in particular come in here, mostly trade guys that they come in, they're used to using their spreadsheet, used to using a Word doc for raising invoices. And it's a question of, well, look, it's not necessarily that you have to start changing the way you're doing things, because of the way that HMRC now want you to present your information to them. So many people aren't aware of the changes that's coming. So therefore, what we try to do here is educate people on the advantages of cloud tech, but then the necessity of it as well going forward.
And let's touch on that now. When we talk about is this what I hear as being sort of the digital revolution and quarterly reporting?
Yeah, this is the Making Tax Digital that the government have now rolling out from 2018. Although from the budget, the autumn budget, that's now been put back to, is it the spring budget?
Spring budget.
Sorry, that's now been put back to 2019 for small businesses, which is great news, to be honest, because in our opinion, there's not many of them are ready for it yet. There's been a lot of consultation about it, and we were a little bit worried that as time goes on, people aren't aware of it. They're not sure what they're meant to be doing.
Will we be paying tax? Have they said that? it's clear that we're paying every quarter as well as
No.
reporting.
It's no, that you don't have to at the moment, although I suspect at some point down the line that will be.
It's going to be too attractive
Yeah,
not to do it.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I
Because
think
you get a one-off hit, won't you?
Yeah,
So the Chancellor will do that.
once all the problems have been ironed out and they can see the system work, and then of course the HMRC are going to say, right, okay, we want our money now. So
unlike a government to do that,
it's very unusual.
it's very unusual, extraordinary behaviour.
Yeah.
And in terms of the cloud accounting, I guess one measure of how well it works and successful, do many people go back? So if they've come from an Excel or a carrier bag full of receipts and bits of paper, do they ever go back to saying, you know what, I can't get on with this cloud stuff?
No, not really. No, it's very rare that you get a client that wants to come back. Go back. It's like backtracking. It's going however many steps backwards. It's
You're very good at showing people how to do.
yeah. I mean,
And you've got the support staff here like Matt, etc., who can train people.
yeah, Matthew does quite a lot of training here. So if there are any issues, most of our clients will say, can we come in for a training session, and we'll do that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now, you touched earlier on the fact that there's other tools that you can use alongside the cloud accounting packages. Is that Receipt Bank that I hear a fair bit about?
There's a raft of apps that are available to help everybody with automation, which goes hand in hand with cloud accounting. So, for instance, you can have a CRM system attached. You can have a phone app, that actually helps you track your mileage. You can
really?
Yeah, there's a very.
That means you can't make it up.
I don't know what you're talking about now. You can also use MailChimp as well. So, for instance, if you've got all your clients in cloud accounting, such as cash flow, for instance, using one as an example, you can download all your customers into MailChimp, and you can send them out regular information via MailChimp to help, like promotion, sales offers, that kind of thing, keeping in touch, latest things that's happening in your world, that kind of thing. And yes, there is Receipt Bank, which we'll go into in depth more in a little while, because there's a lot to talk about that.
And Receipt Bank itself is that's an app, isn't it? That's on your phone.
It's a standalone app, and it's it becomes in effect your bookkeeper. It really does reduce the amount of time that us as a practice spends on compliance with record keeping. It's a fantastic app. Yes, it is on the phone. We use it a lot. It also has a sort of smaller sister company called OneTap, which is for sole traders that are non-VAT registered. But Receipt Bank is it records all your receipts via the camera on your smartphone. So, for instance, you've got a receipt in front of you. You open up the app on your phone. You open up the camera. You take a photo of the receipt. That then is converted into a PDF once it's submitted to Receipt Bank, and then it sits in the Receipt Bank dashboard, and then it's put into the various cloud package that you have for accountancy.
So it will know that this is a parking receipt, for argument's sake.
It's very clever technology, yeah. So when you've taken the photo, it will pick up, for instance, the description. It will pick up the name of the receipt. So if it's something from Shell, for argument's sake, as a fuel receipt, it'll pick up Shell. It'll pick up the date. It will pick up the amount. It will split the VAT out. It will pick everything up and put it into your chosen cloud system. And it builds the bookkeeping up in the background, so you don't have to worry about sort of spending evening and weekends thinking, I must do the bookkeeping, because it's an ongoing process once you get used to using the app. And another lovely feature about Receipt Bank is that you actually get a dedicated email address as well. So there's no point really if a lot of your suppliers email you purchase invoices, printing them off and taking a photo. That seems a little bit daft nowadays. So the email address allows you just to forward that email on, and again, it works the same way as the phone app. But in this case, it just emails it into Receipt Bank. Receipt Bank extracts the invoice from the email. It picks up all the information as just described, and then it pings it straight into the software.
It's clever, isn't it?
It is very clever, and it's very
And does it work for techno morons like me?
Of course it would.
Would it?
It's
Yeah,
very
well,
easy.
maybe I'll try it.
If you take selfies, then you'll be able to use Receipt Bank.
You don't want to see my selfies.
It's that easy.
I think that should be the tagline. If you
Yeah,
take
that
selfies,
sounds
you
like
can
quite a
use
good one.
Receipt
Doesn't
Bank.
it? Yeah, if you can take a selfie, use Receipt Bank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
brilliant.
Let's just talk a little bit about, I touched on it earlier in terms of people being necessarily unhappy with banks and yet don't change. And yet clearly you're attracting new clients all the time. I know from talking to you that you've got a constant stream of new people coming through. Why do people change accountants?
Well, there's various reasons. I mean, there's, there may be an issue with the current accountant. Over the last few years since we've been at practice, we've found that some accountants are just really not looking after their customers. We've noticed it. One of the main concerns is that nothing's getting done. They can't get hold of their accountant, which is really bizarre, we think, because you're there to help and support your clients, not just well, thank you very much for your business, and we'll be in touch once we need to get hold of you, kind of thing. That's a really sort of horrible way to do things. So it's mostly is because that there's either an issue, things aren't getting done, had a problem.
Other reasons is may have moved, so they may have moved into the area. The main reason why some of our clients leave is because they've moved, so they want someone who's closer. But with cloud technology, cloud accounting, you don't need that.
No,
because you could be anywhere in the country or the world even.
And I guess that's trying to think in terms of what makes Aldous and Saunders different. If with all the people that I know, the criticism, if I hear one of accountants, will be, I've submitted my accounts, my year end is gone, and then I speak to the accountant. Well, in many ways, there's sod all point doing that, is there? Because if the year end is gone, then actually there aren't any changes you can make. Yeah. Surely, if you were proactive, and I don't see this very often with accountants, you should be there before the year end, saying you've had a good year, a bad year. Have you thought about upgrading some equipment or some capital allowances or pension contributions?
I think you've just hit the nail on the head. I mean, we offer something unique. We've done it since day one, 5 years ago. We offer a monthly accounting service, and it is just that, a monthly accounting service. It's not you can pay us monthly and then we'll speak to you in a year's time. It's an ongoing process, and it encapsulates everything that we do as a practice. We build a bespoke system for our clients. It entails, sort of bookkeeping, payroll, tax, that kind of thing. But one of the most important things is, like you've just mentioned, is a few months before the year end of our clients, we tend to do tax reviews. We ping it out on social media, letting people know that we're doing these tax reviews, because it's important. Everybody should pay tax. I do firmly believe that, but everybody should pay the correct amount of tax. So therefore, if there are ways in which we can sort of utilise the tax laws and look at a person's accounts and say, well, actually, if they just made these small little changes and done this before the year end, then the amount of tax that they pay will be the correct amount of tax, rather than letting it go over the year end. Then you see the client, they drop their accounts off, and then you try to do the tax work. It's like, well, that ship has sailed now. You've kind of missed the deadline. So part of the monthly accounting service we offer does entail a tax review, and to be honest with you, Neil, our clients love it.
I'm not surprised. And actually, it's a really important distinction you mentioned there in terms of paying an accountant monthly is different than having a monthly accounting service, isn't
Absolutely.
it? And I'd never really thought of that, but you're spot on with that.
Yeah, because it's not just, I mean, we tweet about this. It's on our website. We like to be more than just number crunchers to our clients. It's the support. I mean, in answer to one of your questions earlier, why do people change accountants? Mainly because they're not getting the support that they need. And we like to be an arm around the shoulder. People can contact us as much as they like. We don't charge for that service either, because we've had some horror stories about some accountants charging by the minute for phone calls. I mean, that's absolutely bizarre. So, the monthly accounting service includes the business support as well, and our clients are always getting in touch with us, and we never refuse a phone call, and we're always there to help them.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah. And I remember you saying, Tracey, that there was a client that you'd worked with where you'd actually were able to get them a tax refund.
HMRC had pulled it and basically said that he wasn't going to be getting the £8,000 back. That was a CIS payment back. And I went through the whole system, looked through it all. Basically, they wanted to pull everything, so they wanted to look at every single thing, every single cost centre, that he'd used, etc. So we did a full investigation for him, got everything together, sent it all over to HMRC with our findings and etc. 5 months down the line, after battling backwards and forwards with HMRC, rather than £8,000 back, we get £10,000 back.
Oh, well done.
So Tracey
happy
against
client.
HMRC, so one happy client. So the other thing, touching on what Glenn said about monthly accounting, is we can actually keep an eye on the turnover as well to make sure that people don't go over the VAT threshold.
Yep.
Yeah, we've had a few of those
And
recently.
we've had four recently in this office that are sailing close to the wind, and we've caught them, and now going to be dealing with that.
Yeah,
and that saves a lot of aggravation.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
HMRC don't like it, and they fine and insist on.
And to a degree, quite rightly so, because it's not your money, is it? The moment you're you're over the threshold, then you're a tax collector for the government.
I mean, there is a lot of responsibility on individuals to make sure that doesn't happen themselves, because each individual is, each client is responsible for their own actions. But we try and help them along the way as much as we can. So if we can avoid that kind of situation, then we do, and the processes and the systems we've got in place in the office allows us to pick these up. So that shouldn't be a problem.
So I don't know if you're able to come up with this idea, but what are the common sort of, say, top 5 mistakes that people make?
Okay, so the common mistakes are, the first one is not registering to be self-employed. So sometimes we'll get someone come to us and say, I left my job in, I'll say, May, and this is like September, October time, and what have you done in between? Oh, well, I've been doing this and I've been doing that, and it's like, have you registered for self-employment? No. Okay, so that then means that there's possibility of a fine, because you have 12 weeks to register as a
crikey, it's not very long, is it?
So no, not at all. So,
and all you're doing with registering is flagging, presumably, to the HMRC, saying, look, I'm doing a trade.
Yeah, basically all you're doing is you're telling them that you're not employed anymore and you are self-employed.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so that's the first one. What else springs to mind?
So not keeping business records. So we have clients come to us and they have not kept all the receipts for the year, so that means that they'll end up with a hefty bill if they've not got every single receipt that we need to put against the income that they've got.
Yeah, and the most important thing is keeping it in some kind of coherency.
Yeah.
Do people still bring them in carrier bags?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Really?
I mean,
it's not an issue.
If for argument's sake that HMRC were to spontaneously say to a person, we want to come and have a look at you and investigate you, and if they've got a bag of receipts and just a few sales invoices, and nothing is set in any kind of coherency, HMRC just don't like that.
No.
They like people to keep accurate records, because in their view, if they're not accurate, then they could be losing out on tax.
And don't they work on the assumption that you're guilty rather than innocent? You have to prove your innocence, don't you? So they haven't got to prove that you've done something wrong. It's almost the other way around, really.
Yeah, we deal with quite a few tax investigations here, where HMRC, as everybody knows now, are just literally spot checking everybody. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You don't even have to have a problem. HMRC could instantly write to you and say, we just want to have a look at everything for a certain year. It's it could happen to anyone.
Yeah. Okay. Can you think of any others?
Yeah. Losing receipts. Again, this is quite a big issue. So, not picking on anyone in particular, but sometimes you'll get.
You weren't looking at me then, Tracey.
No.
I just wondered what you were doing.
I was thinking of trades.
Oh wait. Okay.
So sometimes you'll get a tradesperson who'll pay for fuel, and it will just go on the top of the dashboard.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So that's why I guess where Receipt Bank could really come in, because you can just take your picture on your phone and it's done.
Exactly that.
Oddly enough, the trades guys are the ones that are really loving the Receipt Bank app.
Yeah, they are.
I suppose it's safe, because you're right, the vans, you see them with all the clutter and the rest of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's 3.
Okay. So one of the things that often comes up when we meet new clients is the bank account. No, some people assume that they can, especially if they're sole traders, for argument's sake, they assume that they can just run everything through their personal account.
Oh, I see.
Which is not good news, mainly because, again, going back to the investigation, if HMRC were
It's
to
confusing,
investigate,
isn't it?
they would say, well, hang on a moment, well, I can see all your personal stuff as well
Sure.
as your
Yeah,
business receipts.
yeah.
So what we tend to say to people is try and keep it all separate. You know, your personal stuff is your personal
So there's
stuff.
no reason why they couldn't set up a business bank
The-
account, just to even if
yeah.
you're self-employed,
I
is
mean,
it?
yeah, just set up an account and just run all your income
Yeah.
and expenses through that. So.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. What about the final one then?
Oh, yeah, Tracey and I discussed this. Yeah, so there's some people just literally put everything through their accounts each year, and this usually happens to the annual clients, not the monthly clients, the annual clients. So when we get that bag of receipts each year, and it's dropped off, and often clients are quick on the way out of the office. It's usually we have to go through everything, and everything is in there, personal expenditure, the whole lot, and they literally just put everything through, and we have to then sit down and go through the expenses and see what can and can't be claimed for. Some people also, when they come to us and they've got, if you like, more accurate records, we find that there's some expenses in there that they're not aware that they can't claim for. So therefore, the educational side of what we do is we then have to call them and say, look, you've claimed this as an expense. Were you aware that you can't? And then we explain to them why they can't claim it. And then, of course, that then alleviates that problem going forward for next year. So claiming expenses is a little bit of a tricky area. What our advice is, if you're not sure, just get in touch with somebody that knows, and we'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, we do have a little fact sheet that we hand out if they're a newly self-employed person, because sometimes we don't actually know what they're going to be physically claiming for.
No.
So yeah.
No, that's useful. And one of the cloud accounting features, isn't it, is that you can actually put a discussion point on something. If there's a particular transaction here, I'm not sure what to do, what do I do with it? You can highlight it, and of course you see it as a question and then can answer it or put it in the right place.
Yeah, that's the beauty of cloud
technology. So you don't even have to pick up the phone, do you?
No, you can do it all interact in the actual system.
Yeah,
itself.
that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
Personally, I prefer if they pick the phone up, because then it helps us.
It's a conversation as well, isn't it? And we're keeping in touch with everybody
absolutely.
then, and that's what we want to do, the personal approach.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, we enjoy it.
And I believe you're celebrating your 5th anniversary this year.
Yeah.
So what's in the future then for Aldous and Saunders, apart from world domination? I mean, what's the future for Aldous and Saunders?
Well, as you know, with your good self, we've adopted the Business Growth Club into the business. It's fantastic. We've got clients using it. They're enjoying it. They're coming along to the monthly meetings as well, and meeting other members, and it's helping our clients interact and network with one another as well. We're also, in terms of the office, we're looking at sort of 3 new apprentices in the next 2 years. One will be admin, and 2 other trainee accountants. Now, the reason we're getting an admin apprentice is because what's very important to us is that everything in the office has to be just correct. So all the processes, everything that we do is there to make sure that our clients have the necessary support needed when they get hold of us and need us to help them. So the apprentice admin is going to take the pressure off our full-time admin lady, Paula, who is an absolute diamond, by the way. And she's going to be able to concentrate on other areas of the business that we also offer, which is auto-enrollment, registration, payroll, and she's very good at that as well. So we're also looking at 2 other apprentices to help with the accountancy side of things, because it's very important to us that we help nurture the new talent coming through. We could quite easily go out there and look at the what's out there in the workforce at the moment, and bring those into the business and grow the business quicker. But for us, our growth has always been dictated by Tracey and myself. We could be a lot bigger than what we are right now, but we've always had that customer focus in mind. Like I mentioned a moment ago, there's no point in us bringing a lot of new clients in if we haven't got the processes or the people there to support them. So going forward, yes, we have growth plans, but we want to make sure that the office is ready for that growth.
Yeah, good for you. Well, I wanted to thank you very much indeed, especially Glenn getting off your sick bed. I'm not sure you were that sick.
I soldiered on.
You soldiered
I
on.
did.
Us men have to do that, Glenn.
Well, they don't know.
Women don't know
They
the
don't
half of it,
understand.
mate. They don't understand. But we do want to thank Tracey and Glenn for their time. You can find out more by contacting Glenn and Tracey, and I'll put their details at the bottom of the podcast. Remember, of course, the standard. I suppose we should have a risk warning here saying, of course, anything they've said you can't construe as active advice. They need to think of everything on an individual basis. But thanks very much for listening. Have a look at businessgrowthclub.net. And until next time, goodbye.